Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the teaching of Ibn al-ʿArabi. This is on account of his reflection on Salah. So in Living Islam, we take an approach to speak about the living part of Tasawwuf, the practical manifestation of everything that we are learning. What Muhyiddin is telling us here with this text about the Salat is that the Salat is part of worship. It is meaningful, starting from the times in which the Salat happens, they are meaningful, and so is what precedes the Salat, that is the Adhan, for example. It is not sufficient to just simply repeat the matters as we are intended to do in a state of pure repetition. But he points out that it's important to take into account what its significance is, and to dwell into the meaning that is of the things that they have been said, starting from Allahu Akbar, the repetition of the Shahada, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Hayya ala-s-Salah, Hayya ala-l-Falah, etc. They are meaningful, and he is going to explore what is the meaning behind all that, the purpose of which is to be reminded. And to be reminded is good for all of us. We all benefit from being reminded about how this thing was performed, practiced in those days, and so that we benefit from it. The key tone of the horizon of the entire conversation is based on the ayat of Quran that Muhyiddin, our Shaykh, presents, which is Quran 12:108, to call to Allah with Basirah. To call Allah with Basirah it already creates the background of the whole building up of the Shaykh. His commentary is on the basis of this Basirah. We looked at it last week, and today he is going to continue in this horizon in order to see how we benefit in the recitation of the Adhan. He speaks about the fact that it is obligatory, wajib, for the congregation. So when a group of people come together, it is obligatory to call the Adhan, even if you do it at home with your family. If you do it on your own, if it is non-congregational, then you don't need the Adhan. But the moment that there's a congregation with you, including your family, you should give the Adhan. And so it becomes a call first for yourself. That's why the repetition of twos, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, is always twice. Hayya ala-s-Salah, Hayya ala-s-Salah, and so on. He says, the first time is for yourself. Is creating the conditions. And we will see what the conditions are. But the first time is you do it for yourself. So the mu'adhin becomes aware of the things that he is saying. He's aware that his state, the changing of his state, is then what he can communicate with others. And this is important from the point of view of what transmission is. A transmission is not only just the things you say, but how you say it. So there is a difference between to say to somebody, I love you, and you mean it, or you say it just like a formula. Just like you can say thank you on the table to a person, just like a formula, like a ritual, or you can look at the person in the eyes and to say thank you. It's different. It's completely different. Do you think the meaning is the same? It's not the same. I have told you sometimes that I was once with my Shaykh in Paris, and we were in one of the beautiful restaurants very near the Arc of Triomphe in Les Champs-Élysées at the very end. In between that and the Place de la Vendôme, there is a hotel there, and we used to go there here and there. And one of the times I was sitting down with him, just the two of us, and I asked the waiter for something, I don't know, butter or bread or something. And when he came and he served me, I say thank you, but I didn't look at him. And Sheikh Abubakar got enormously furious, overreacting, I would have said. He looked at me like I have committed murder. And he looked at me and he said, "Who do you think you are? You say thank you. You look at the person that you are saying thank you. And you mean it." With those of you who have met Sheikh Abubakar, you will know what I mean when he frowned his eyes. It was like knives. And he looked at me and like, "What have you done?" I was overwhelmed by his commentary. And of course, the first thing I did, I looked back at the waiter who was still there, standing. And I said, "Thank you." And what happened was equally interesting. Because the waiter was there, standing, looking down at me. And as I was saying thank you, I could see one little smile coming from his face. And then he looked back to Sheikh Abubakar with a brother smile, like saying, "Well done, sir. Thank you for telling this idiot how to thank somebody." And there I was, completely astounded by the circumstances. And Sheikh Abubakar nodded back to the waiter, and he left. Like saying, "Okay, done. No, this person has learned how to treat somebody else." And well, the impact of that conversation was that I had never, ever, ever, ever thank somebody without looking straight into their eyes and meaning it. And this is because I think you will understand the meaning of transmitting with a true state, or when it's something just a ritual. And so it is that the Adhan is not just simply a ritual, like you tap into a tape and then you just go pam, 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 pam. But you had to do it like the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala indicates in the Quran. You have to call up with Basirah. And Basirah is an action of the heart. It's not an action of the intellect. It goes beyond the idea that it is reasonable to the person that is serving you to thank him for the things that he's doing. It is an acknowledgement of a different kind. It's much higher than that. It's a recognition. It's a true thanks for the person who has come there to serve you. And it is elevating the person in front of you, changing your state. It's a thank that it projects itself beyond the action. It's a thanks that comes from Allah. And you will see what I mean by that if you practice it. Because indeed, to thank the servants of Allah is to thank Allah. And to thank the people around you for the things they do is part of thanking Allah. It is not acceptable to say, "I thank Allah, but I don't thank the people around you." For it is indeed part of the recognizing of the people around you who may have done something in your favor. It transcends itself to be thankful to Allah. So in account of the matter of the Adhan, The Shaykh is reminding us, hey, change your state so that when you call the people Hayya ala-s-Salah, you mean it. As if by repeating it twice, one has the opportunity first to change his own state, so that then he can call other people on the basis of that state. It's as if when you say thanks, you say, I'm going to say thanks. And then you look at the person and then you say thank you. And you mean it. So when it comes to the Adhan, we have already looked at the Takbir and what is the Takbir. Takbir is not a formula, is the recognition that there is nothing equal to him. Is an Akbar that it has nothing to be compared with. Is an exaltation of Allah in the highest degree. And then he comes to the parts that the two shahadas, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, and then the calls of the people, the Hayya ala-s-Salah and the Hayya ala-l-Falah. What is important about this is that this is a clear call to the people. This is something you say to the people around you. So it transpires a command to them to come and join the prayer. And the word he uses in order to describe and to understand what is the condition behind the calling of the Mu'adhin to Hayya ala-s-Salah and Hayya ala-l-Falah, he calls it, this is the Munaja of your Rabb. The Munaja, in the wording of Ibn al-ʿArabi, Munaja is the slaves, the servants' intimate, private and intimate conversation with Allah. Is a whisper from your heart as an act of supplication. It's not just purely a proclamation, therefore. It's precisely in the realm of Basirah. Basirah, the vision, is to feel Allah's presence. And in that intimacy, then you say Hayya ala-s-Salah, and then you say Hayya ala-l-Falah. What this indicates is it is required for the Mu'adhin to not simply repeat, but to seek that intimacy. This intimacy which the Shaykh refers to as Munajat. Well, that qualifies the whole idea of Basirah. Not only is an action of the heart, it that involves vision. This vision originates or takes root in a state of intimacy. And you understand intimacy, because intimacy is something that involves you, the most intimate part of you, in expressing what you are doing, what you are seeking, and who you are speaking to, is of the presence of Allah. You are transmitting to other people the Salah. The call itself implies, according to the Shaykh, is come to the Salat. He says, you say it twice. I'm going to read textually. With these, we call ourselves, and with the second, we call others. So, Hayya ala-Salat first. You say to yourself, you change the state, and then you call others. It means the Munaja of the Rabb, of your Rabb, is intimacy. So to purify yourself and come to the mosque. Come to the mosque. And I will continue reading. With the first utterance, and to one already in the mosque, The second utterance, with purify your heart and present yourself before your Rabb, your Lord. So for you are in his house, having intended him for his Munaja. It's beautiful. So your state is not transmitted to the worshippers who come to the mosque with that sense of intimacy, of coming, involving the deepest part of themselves into this call for the prayer. So leave everything else and come to the prayer. And then when it comes to Hayya, ala-s-Salah, I'm going to read also what he says. This is from al-ʿArabi. This is from Shaykh Muhyiddin. Similarly, Ibn al-Arabi says, Hayya al-Falah, come to success, has two considerations and interpretations in its two utterance. It says to those outside and those inside the mosque, to oneself and to others, quote, approach what will save you from his punishment, by his bliss, and from his bail, by his tajalli, ambition. End of the quote. And in the second utterance, Hayya al-Falah means approach what will come, what will make you remain. Approach what will make you remain in his bliss and the light of your witnessing. The second part being in the emphasis being on the falah, on the success. Now come to the success. The success is precisely to be under the bliss, under the light produced by your witnessing. For indeed, the prayer is a call to success by means of worshipping. Is the thing that creates the benefit that you obtain from the matter is your witnessing. And your witnessing is to seek the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, you want to understand this, you have to try it. You can pray seeking the witness of Allah, that is, to become aware of the presence of Allah, or you can do it without. And it's completely two different things. Two different things. One is ritual. The other one, you have the taste of what is success. The job of the Imam is to remind you, of the Muaddin is to remind you, if they come to the success, if this is the moment where you get the benefit, come here. The meaning of the presence of Allah, of which we have spoken many times, which is connected to call Allah with Basirah, is an invocation of the heart. You cannot do it there with the intellect, neither you can worship with the intellect. You can only arrive to the meanings with the akal. But an akal that is deprived of reason and is deprived of what generally we speak about when we say the fikr. You purify the fikr. You leave it at the door. And so this akal is capable of witnessing. What does it mean, witnessing, in the context of the Salat? Well, is what the angel asked Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam when he was asked about, tell us about Islam, Iman, and Ihsan. And when he came to the time of Ihsan, he said, worship Allah as if you see Him, although you cannot see Him, but you are aware that Allah is watching you. And that's the presence of Allah. The realization that Allah is watching you, that's presence. It's huge presence. It's a presence that it takes your breath away. It's a presence that brings you to tears. It's overwhelming. It's totally powerful. And that is in itself success, for it is the door of knowledge. It is the door, ihsan is the door of worshipping itself. And the worshipping comes with success. Coming. So the intimacy that is proclaimed in these, both in these calls for the Hayya ala-s-Salah and Hayya al-Falah, in both of them, a call for intimacy that the mu'adhin undertakes from within himself. He becomes aware. Okay, Hayya ala-s-Salah, my goodness, is what I am about to say. This is so big. And then you say Hayya ala-s-Salah. So there has to be a different tonality. While the first, it calls upon something intimate within you, is like it changes your thing. The other one is a madness proclamation. You go and tell the people, Hayya ala-s-Salah. Wow. It's like, it's goosebumps. It's powerful. Now remember that something said with the state is different than something said without the state. Just like Zagalaga reminded me about thanking the waiter. The state is important, and the transmission is by the state. And some people say, but it sounds the same. No, depending on the people who receive, it definitely means something totally different. So that call for intimacy is now interpreted in terms of changing of the state and then telling the people. And what is spoken about is the very call to the worship. How important it is that you are obeying, you become fulfilled in your duties by attending the Salah. This is more important than anything else that you can do. And the second is one of success. And this is so beautiful. It's to call upon the success. It come because this is your benefit. This is where you win your success. It is not possible to say this without being thrilled by the immensity of the things that you are calling for. And so the Shaykh says the mu'adhin is a fundamental element in the prayer, because in calling the people at this high state, he says something like, it takes away the ghafla of the people. Like, you may be busy doing some other things, and you find yourself occupied with anything other than Allah. And suddenly, you hear this man just saying, Hayya ala-s-Salah, Hayya ala-s-Salah, Hayya al-Falah, Hayya al-Falah. Wow, it is impressive. And then he said, what is intended is to take away that state of ghafla, of a ghafla, not just black and white, but in a state of forgetfulness, not complete forgetfulness, but just distraction, I think is the word. Is you may be distracted and suddenly you're called to the thing. And here, if for the Adhan, for the mu'adhin, the matter is to call in the state of meaning, with Basirah, as a witness. Call with all your state, you elevate your state, you call in that state to the people. And for the people to listen with reception, to be prepared, and when you hear to this, then to be at the receiving end. As I said last week, when it comes to the matters of calling upon Allah with Basirah, it's clearly what it says, on the one hand, is not to transform this thing into a mechanical ritual. That's obvious. It's not the same. It's not real. Even if you're doing everything which is perfect, it's like treating the salat like this is a yoga exercise. Is it good for my kidneys or something? No, it's an act of worship. It's something elevated, something supreme. At the very center of your existence, what gives meaning to life. And when it comes to the Adhan, equally, this is something serious. So you turn away from formulating and then demand from yourself that condition of which the Shaykh and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala defines as call upon Allah with Basirah, with your heart. Okay? Up until there is all clear. But I will tell you something more, which I indicated last week too, is that to enter into this zone of truly call the Adhan as an act of worship itself, which is what the Sheikh keeps saying, is for you to go a little bit more than just not being materially, mentally mechanical. But it's also a call for something else. If you think about the worship itself as an act of surrender, it's a supreme act that both brings together love of Allah and fear of Allah, taqwa. In both cases, what is significant is the ihsan, that is, to call to presence. Remember that in every act of love, coming to presence is the underlying the field in which this takes place. For example, as I said to you many times, you can be full with people, just with a group of friends, for example. And sometimes there is one of them who suddenly, in the middle of a heated conversation between friends, one kind of is kind of looking away, maybe looking to the roof, and is with a face that you can see he's absent from the conversation. Now, one of his closest friends, who knows him and knows exactly what is happening to him, will say, "Hey, are you still thinking about Maria, your beloved?" And then he kind of looks back into the group, everybody now looking at him, and he just smiles, like saying, "Yes, I'm guilty." He's absent. So you can be surrounded by people, but he's absent. Maria now has become more present to him than the whole physical people around you. His presence. Fear also, taqwa, to seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This also brings to presence both love and taqwa. They bring the beloved to presence, or the one that you seek protection to presence. Bring it to presence, then it becomes the fundamental, distinctive element of this act of worship. And bring it to presence is huge. It transforms you. It transforms everything around you. It changes your state. The focus of your attention moves away from everything and is narrowed down into the beloved, into the object of worship. For indeed, love and fear is worship itself. That's what we call when we say Salah, to worship. And if coming to presence is so important, it alters you, and you become aware of it when you do it. It also alters the meaning of everything that's around you. For example, your friends disappear. However important the conversation may have been, it's just kind of, it loses value. And so everything in the world is kind of melts down before the presence of the beloved. it changes the meaning of things. Therefore, it's cognitive. And now we're in the territory of akal. And akal has this capacity to alter the meaning of things, therefore it's cognition. Unlike the fikr is only a reflection of the things in front of you by trying to define the things in terms of words and things and ideas that you have already established. The only thing you do is mirroring what is in front of you. But it's the akal that changes the meaning of things. It's love of something that changes the meaning of things. Then reason comes in order to justify. And that's why we say the heart is always above reason. It completely dominates reason. The people they may be aware, not aware of it. Many people think, for example, that akal is part of reason, and so they think having good thoughts, think positively. These pseudo-psychologists, they come and tell you, they think positively, and people have made fortunes writing books like this, like this Anthony Robbins. The power within and stuff like this. So they think they confuse akal to intellect, and therefore everything becomes fixed in the world of reason. But it's indeed what really weighs and imposes itself upon reason is the state of the heart. So it's by the heart that you change your way of perceiving the world. So things like what Anthony Robbins has done, it lasts 5 minutes exactly, until something else comes in and the mind is over with another thought, and that's the end of it. If he would have understood the power of the heart, then he would have said what is important is about the state of your heart. You have to realize that you are driven by what you love, and what he's asking the people to be driven with is to make money. So it's like all these big stories about motivation. Ultimately, the last books he wrote is all about making money, you become rich, and the Calvinist ethics. What is the Calvinist ethics? Is the most extreme form of Protestantism, which comes after Luther. Is John Calvin, who was a French person who became prominent in Switzerland, in Geneva, and there he kind of changed the Christianity forever, and he aligned itself with capitalism. And so capitalism became the secular version of Calvinism, or vice versa. The capitalism became the religious manifestation of capitalism is Calvinism. Calvinism is the root of all Anglicanism, all Protestantism. Luther faded away. Because unlike Luther, Calvin was a very well-educated theologist. So he knew how to speak, and he gave theology is like nonsense, to the whole notions of Calvinism, which essentially comes and says, Allah rewards you in this world by your material wealth. The proof that you are saved is that you are wealthy. Imagine how beautifully it fitted with capitalism, the notion that the richer you are, the more blessed you are. So under that circumstances, the Rothschilds are divine humans. And of course they make riba halal. So it's pure capitalism. So all these theories, like Anthony Robbins, at the end, ends up in Calvinism. The proof that you are healthy mentally is that you're wealthy. Imagine where that leads to. It's a complete disaster. Calvinism, by the way, is in the case that many of you will think, no, I am sealed from it. It is at the very root of how Islam is taught in most Muslim countries today. What you have is a Protestant Islam. You don't have Islam. It's a reformist Islam. And everything is justified, and you find it everywhere. that to be wealthy is the thing that Allah has blessed you. I have spoken with people, ulama, who have come to me and he said, Allah blesses you with wealth and health. No? And when I suggested to this particular individual from Malaysia, he was a prominent MP from the opposition party, the rulers of Kelantan, in case you wonder. And this man said to me this sentence, Allah blesses you with wealth and health. And when I said to him, he said, but indeed, Rasul Sallallahu was poor and he was blessed. And when he was ill, he was blessed. And he looked at me with a kind of, I was very young in that time. He looked at me like condescending. I said, no, my dear, you haven't understood well. He said, the wealth is the proof that Allah loves you. And the health is natural, only about the natural consequences of Allah loving you. I remember that I decided, no, I can't continue this conversation. It's just impossible. This man is fixed. So I just left it there. But what it really defines is an state of mind that is the very center of the world we are living in. So if we say this world is capitalist, we are not wrong to say we have all adopted the Calvinist ethos. And the reason I'm saying to you all this is that you become fully aware that the world from which we look at the teachings of Ibn al-Arabi is not neutral. You're not in a little bubble in the space contemplating the teachings of Ibn al-Arabi. You are soaked into a false religion called capitalism that it has a doctrine both at a theological and at a practical level. And we live inside it. Whether you may agree to it or you are just in complete oblivion, and you say, no, it doesn't matter to me, but this is how most people experience life. Most people. So if we take what Ibn al-Arabi is saying, he's saying the Adhan in the middle of the city to call upon this affair is a rebellion. And what is important about this rebellion is that it not only reflects the state of the muazzin who has now become witness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he proclaims this matter. This is why it's so important. But it is an act of madness. A rebellion against a world that has completely become in a state of ghafla. It is in a state of madness in the sense of the oblivion, that the rejection that creates against this, the world, for what you are invoking is the presence of Allah. And therefore, like this man who is in the group of people and he forgets his friends because he's thinking about Maria, the state of the muazzin is the person who calls upon Allah and he is oblivious of everything else. In that state, then he calls upon the people and so what it will be hidden to him is now proclaimed with the glory and the permission granted by the Sharia to call upon the people, Hayya ala-s-Salah, Hayya ala-l-Falah. In a state of madness, this means that the person has embodied, indeed, the state of presence. And now he is proclaiming to the glory, to the world, what they are missing. Because what they are missing is the presence of Allah. Because they are distracted. And then you call these people to say, remember. And as I said to you last week, I came to know what the Adhan is in the hands, in the arms of a Musdub in the city of Fez. It was only my second Ramadan. I was just a new Muslim. I hardly knew anything. And then we were there standing in the market of Fez, just waiting for the Adhan to happen. And suddenly a man, way before the Adhan came, a few minutes before, he just walked the street shouting the Adhan, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, through the streets of the busy center of the market. Imagine everybody buying and selling and stuff. And he was there just kind of walking by slowly and in a slow pace towards the mosque. Because quite rightly, like a true city of Islam, the market is not situated in the outskirts, but it's at the very center of the city. Market and the mosque beside each other. As he was walking towards that, he was oblivious. He was in a state like in a frenzy, like in a trance. And I held his hand. I said to my companion, I said, I'm sorry, I have to leave. And I walked to this man, held him by the hand, and I continued doing the shahada with him. It took a second to be completely contaminated by his state, intoxicated. And I felt, now I know what the Adhan is. And I invite you, I don't think if you go to the city of Fez, you're going to find him, because he must have passed away. He was a very old man when this thing happened to me, and I was 21 or 22. But you can understand, and you can repeat it yourself, if you just give to yourself that opportunity of calling with all your heart. Feel the presence of Allah when you call Hayya ala-s-Salah, Hayya ala-l-Falah. And you will be able to understand instantaneously, without all this talking. By experience, by dhawq, you will know, my goodness, how powerful this is. And it will happen that you will fall in love with the Adhan in a manner that wherever you have an opportunity, on your own, in the middle of the mountain, in a journey somewhere, and then you see the glory of Allah and you give the Adhan, knowing that when the day comes, every stone that is in that place will witness that he proclaimed the glory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not because you will be rewarded, but because it is the biggest joy that you can do. So when you are in the middle of nowhere, you can go mad. You can allow yourself to open your heart completely and utterly, and with the only maybe audience of the stones wherever you are. You just say this thing in that state, and you will see what it means. I invite you to do that, so that following what I call Shaykh al-Qadar's method, do it and then don't do it and see the difference. But if Allah gives you the gift, and for some, by the blessing of Allah, you happen to allow yourself to go that step and go a little bit farther and allow this madness to happen to you, you will notice, because your heart, it doesn't fit into your chest. And then you feel the presence of Allah, which is overwhelming. And that's your gift. And that's what the Mu'adhin takes with himself. And he benefits others. The benefit of others is simply because we are called, it's a duty upon us to remind each other. We must remind each other not to be lost, وَالْأَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ, etc. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. To remind each other. It's not that it's a choice, it's that otherwise you get lost. It's not enough to believe, and it's not enough to behave well. You also have to remind each other, as if reminding each other is an obligation for us, and therefore the necessity of the company. Of what are we doing here on a Sunday morning? To remind each other. To remind each other, and this is important. It's important to me, it's important to you. You want to be reminded, so that you can remind other people too. Remind the people. And this is what the society is like. The community is built upon the people who taste and they value. And they value to be reminded. And only a fool, I tell you, will not recognize that this is the most important gift that you can have with you. But if any one of you have noticed, for some reason you have found yourself in isolation, you have signed yourself in your own, and then you realize how beautiful it is to have somebody there who is mad in love with Allah, and how it helps you. Then you understand why reminding is so important. And remember that this affair is to remind each other. So you remind and you are reminded. And that's where the magic happens, because now you were lost, and somebody reminded you. And then you remind another person with a smile, with a gesture, with a thankfulness. You remind Allah is important, and see how does it make you feel. See what happens to you. For indeed, you think that the first beneficiary of being a teacher is the teacher himself. And you want to see the proof of it? Well, pass on to each other. Tell other people and see how it changes you. And you may say to yourself, either now I understand what the Adhan is, but tell other person. And it becomes fixed on you. For indeed, any one of you who has any degree of teaching in your activities, you know that when you teach is when you truly learn that there is a difference between listening and teaching. If you make the effort of listening, if you maintain the state of I'm just capturing, I'm just listening, like I'm a murid perpetually. So I'm here just to listen, like somebody who is a spectator. But if you try to teach, which by the way is the purpose of tasawwuf. Tasawwuf is a system of initiation. The role of the sheikh is to produce sheikhs, not to produce murids. The producing of the murid is just instrumental. It's kind of the phasing in the first stage to create sheikhs. That's always, and that's why it is being said by Sidi Ali al-Jamal and others, teachers of our tariqah, that you're not here just to be murid. You're here to learn how to teach. You are here to be able to pass on the knowledge. And there is a difference between listening as if you are a murid or listening with the desire to teach, to become a sheikh. For the very continuity of this affair of ours is precisely that there are more people teaching. And what I'm saying with this is that to remind and to be reminded is part of the same task. You can be reminded, but not perpetually reminded. You have to be reminded so that you can remind. It changes you. And so therefore, when the muaddin is calling upon the people in that state, passing on to others what he can hold in himself, he benefits. He truly benefits. It all comes into realization it becomes clear, certainty, clarity comes to him. Do you want the proof of it? Do it. And then don't do it. And then do realize. I'm telling you that if you truly understand what the Adhan is, you become addicted to it. And this is a lot more than what the Shaykh is saying here, although it's implied. It's intoxication, it's madness, is the most beautiful thing that you can say. And so you may, on account of the glory and the things that you are saying, elevate your state so that you can pass into each other what is important to you. But I'm saying to you, go mad. Go mad. Allow love to be truly what it is. To be fall in love with Allah is to be fall in love with Allah. And when you say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, go mad. Allow this thing to happen. Don't be scared. For I was scared too. Because I thought, God, if I go any little further, I would say to my Sheikh, if I go a little bit further, I don't know if I will be able to come back. I'm telling you that this is a true feeling. There is the abandonment of your will in the act of love. For what is love, really? What is love? I mean, what do you think love is? Do you think just a sentiment, a feeling, and a statement? I'll tell you what love is. Is that I want to do what she likes. I want to please he or her. Is the statement, I am wherever you want me to be, anywhere you want me to be. I belong to you completely. It's a slavery itself. Love is submission to the love of the beloved. There's no loving a little bit. It's only a process to love. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as in, I'm here for you. Nothing else matters to you, to me, but you, to please you. Do you think? To the person in this state, he could differentiate between loving Allah and loving what he commands. No, it is impossible. The people who do not understand is because they don't understand. They think we are exaggerating, but we are not. Just like you cannot say to somebody who's in love, he's exaggerating or she is exaggerating. Because love is that. And to obey because of taqwa is just as good. Obey because of love, just as good. For both of them, they bring about the fact that Allah is the only thing that exists. And your will melts. So the people say, no, it's an effort. It's an effort for the one who is not a lover. You see, I lived with my Sheikh for years. And I'll tell you, one of the beautiful things that happen is that the Sheikh will say, oh, gosh, I really would like to have some orange juice. You know, at the Fukara at Subuh, for example. My goodness, I saw fakir that they will go all the way to town, find oranges at the time of the year that there were no oranges, only because they love the Sheikh. It's madness. I mean, even the Sheikh was surprised at how do you get this? I didn't mean to, but he understood. He understood. I said, who did it? This person wanted, okay, thank him. They asked him to come, I will thank him. It's because you do it without, it's not compulsion. It's the pure joy of the thought that I am pleasing the one I love. And is loving, therefore, but an act of madness. And if you want to achieve that state that you can truly transmit to other people what really matters to you, do you think you can hide the madness? If we were to ask this friend of mine, because what I told you about the group of people, etc., actually happened. And the man was called Eduardo. and he was in love. Do you think we can, if I ask him, Eduardo, tell us about Maria, do you think he can hide his intoxication? No, he couldn't. He didn't want to, but he couldn't. For indeed, they go together, and they're cognitive. Yes, they're cognitive. Why they're cognitive? Because it changes the meaning of things. Because to him or to her who is in love with Allah, he doesn't understand obligation in the way other people do. And while other people will say, no, but I have other things to be worried about. I'm telling you that it's impossible for the person in love to even contemplate his own interest, his own limitations in order to fulfill what Allah wants from him or from her. And this is the beauty of this affair. This is the beauty. This is why we love al-ʿArabi Tarkawi, because he's immense. Because he reminds us about these little things. And overall, here with the echo of the Adhan of Ankara, I don't know whether you can hear it. Let me just tell you that the call upon Allah in the Adhan is an act of madness intended to make you mad in love for him. And Ankara is a mess, and the state of Turkey is in a complete mess. But for as long as the Adhan keeps going out, even if it is from a tape, we are safe. Because it's a triumph for the people of Ankara and for the people of Turkey that this Adhan still goes on. It's a miracle of God. They really tried to get rid of it, but they haven't. And for as long as the Adhan is there is hope. And we just leave it here. Bisirri wa barakati, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum.